Hello, everyone. Well, you were probably grooving to the music as I was in our sad over, but we have something very exciting tonight going on. Normally, Mohawk Matt interviews people, and tonight I'm interviewing Mohawk Matt, who is on the other side of the over here somewhere. Okay. But yeah, no, Matt, you've been at NavalX for a while now, but this is what, the year anniversary of you doing a quick chat with Mohawk Matt?
Yeah, so 1 year and 1 day ago,
Oof.
yesterday, a year ago, when somebody dubbed me the name Mohawk Matt on someone else's video, our teammate Steve. And then today is 1 year since we recorded and posted the first quick chat with Mohawk Matt that started all this crazy journey.
That's so exciting. And hi, Rob. Great to see you. Why did you even come to NavalX? How did you find out about it? And how did you become the spokesperson for NavalX?
So a couple questions there. One being the first one was, how did I come to NavalX and how did I find out about it? Well, I had worked with Lauren Hanyok, Tink, on some other things. And when the first announcement came out, just after 2019, when NavalX was announced by Secretary Gertz, about a month or two later, she sent me an email and said, "Hey, I think this is right up your alley. You should check this out." I was actually at a cabin in Big Bear with my wife, and I wasn't on my work stuff for some reason. And at this time of my life, I didn't work every day like I do now. For some reason, I pulled out my phone. I was like, I got to check my email for some reason. Saw this email. I was like, "Hey, Lindy, do you ever want to live in DC?" And I'm like, she's like, wait, what? I'm like, I don't know. This way I explained it to her. And so we talked about it and it's like, yeah, maybe I should apply and see what's up. So I applied and went through the process, both with NavalX and my home command, and got selected. So that's, I think, the first part. So I came on. My command was so excited. They had me flying out here. If you remember, in the beginning, I was flying a lot, still staying from China Lake, California. So I do come from Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division, which is China Lake and Point Mugu. Weapons testing range, Warfare Center, all kinds of research development out there. But I'm not one of those researchers. So even my command was curious, like, what is a non-engineer going to do, represent an engineering command? Because NavalX was brand new. No one in the Navy really knew what it was doing yet. And so just kind of, they had faith in me and they trusted it. So came out here. I did not come out here to do what everyone knows me as.
Say, weren't you supposed to be doing IT or something? You kind of went straight there. I don't know. How'd that get flipped?
Yeah, I came over to do like digital transformation because that's what I had been doing for the last previous couple of years, and just kind of happened because I started seeing things, and NavalX team didn't have much of a presence online or anywhere really. It's brand new. And the favorite line, I'm going to quote Chubbs Gray, former Commander Sam Gray. He said, "Matt came on and created the thing we didn't know we needed." And because it's not, a lot of the time, communications doesn't always get energy put into, especially as you're starting something new. You're focusing on doing the work, not communicating the work and sharing what's going on. And so I just started saying, like, to Scott and some other teammates, like Lauren, "Hey, we can't put that out. That's wrong." Because of my experience as a Marine public affairs, I knew the ins and outs enough, and hadn't done it in a few years, but I could dust those skills off, and it just kind of happened.
That's awesome. And I want to dig into it a little bit more, but first let's see who's on here. I guess a private account LinkedIn user says,
that's Grace. That's Grace Lee.
Oh, nice.
For some reason, her account doesn't show.
Oh, well, it's good that you know that. Obviously, I already talked to Robert Borka. Great to see you. Danielle, sorry you had to leave, but good to see you. Roy from the CAW, Rockstar. Great to see you. Do you know Trey, Matt?
I do know Trey. He's an Army veteran. And, has a military podcast helping vets and first responders.
That's awesome. Carlos from
Carlos, Venezuela.
Nice.
Just
Where's
talking to Grace there.
All right. Nice. Yeah, and it's definitely not work. When you're asking us why we're working on Sundays, we do sometimes work on Sundays. It happens, but this is not work. This is
It's also caveated with we're working on Sunday, but you guys are all on your phones.
ooh,
So yeah,
wow.
sometimes in my role, I have to work on the nights and weekends and holidays because that's when everybody's on their phone.
True. You don't want to call them at like 7 in the morning. It's
No.
like 10 p.m. on a Sunday is much better.
Uh,
That's awesome. So we were talking about being a Marine. So how does an enlisted Marine turn into, an IT guy in a warfare center anyway?
so I got out of the Marine Corps I joined the Marine Corps in 2008. And I knew at the time I was doing like marketing promotions type stuff. And of course, recruiters never lie. And so they, awesome, Robert, of course. And I got to not look at the comments like I normally do. Whitney's in charge. Got to break the habits. So I joined in 2008, decided to go down the route of public relations and did that. Got out in 2012 and didn't have a job for like 6 months. And I found, I got a call one day from who would become my future boss at China Lake. Hey, I got back from this, or so-and-so, you do public affairs. This is perfect who we're looking for. We talked for like an hour. At the end of the call, I said, I'm very grateful for this, but how do you know who I am? I've never heard of this. I never considered working for the Navy. I don't know what's going on right now. She said, I walked in from a conference and saw your resume on my desk. So I was like, and I'm a religious person. So I was like, thank you. Fantastic. And just kind of fell from there. I started as public relations, public affairs. I was doing a lot of writing when I first got to NOC WD is what it's called. And did that for about a year and a half. And during that course, there was starting to be a new public website rolled out. And I had web skills and graphic design skills from the Marine Corps and prior. And so I was the rep from the PAO office coordinating with the development team. And there just started to be more and more in common. And they offered this actually a rotation type thing where I do 2 weeks in every department in IT. And I think the rotation was just the way to make it official. I actually knew the team I was going to end up on because I didn't want to go to cybersecurity. That's not me. It's important, but it's not me. And so I ended up with the web team and stayed there for a couple of years. And then from there, I went into the DIAT team, which I'm still on technically, Digital Innovation Acceleration team, which actually, no plug for ourselves, podcast we have coming out that just came out today.
No plug.
It's available right now on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio.
That's definitely
about 2 members of the DIAT team and some things that they do. So just, I've always been one that if there's a chance, I grab for it. I change careers every couple of years because I just do whatever I need to do and jump at it.
Yeah, I do think you talk a lot about your professional career and development, but when you interview people, you go straight for personal stuff. So as you talk about how you develop professionally as you go, what were you doing, I guess, maybe this past year, to develop personally?
Yeah. So, when you talk about personal, the first thing I always have to mention is Lindy, my beloved wife, who, if you follow me online, you'll see us interact. People I don't know if making fun's the right word. People razz us because how we actually interact with each other online. And like she keeps me humble and stop being blah, blah, blah. So it's pretty fun. But so not only is all the journey I mentioned all been with her for the past 10 and a half years, but also this last year we decided, even before COVID dropped, we're in a new state. We're in DC from California. We're going to experiment, push ourselves different ways. So we're already kind of planning on some growth. And neither of us are traditional school people, like go get degrees, but we do like to learn just in different ways. And so started doing that this year, especially when COVID dropped. As everyone knows, I'm extremely extroverted. And so I went into a state of depression and I did not do well with not seeing people. And that was about a month and a half after Quick Chats with Mohawk Matt started. And so I just dove harder into the personal side, and started creating like my personal brand of Mohawk Matt and what's come to be like the awesome videos and things like that. And I for personal development this year, one, I actually hate reading. I am not good at it. It is really hard for me, but I've really been trying to read. Actually, recently, I have this new thing I'm doing. I've got a crap ton of books over there, and I'm actually going to reach out to each author and have them on a new personal podcast I'm doing, because then I can learn some of their material without having to read the whole book. I'll read it eventually, but I won't read it that fast.
It's almost like forcing function. You hit them up, and then you have to read at least, the executive summary or some Spark Notes or something.
Yeah, and it's how you learn too.
Yeah, that's cool.
I learn verbally. I learn like with all the podcast videos. I learn when I'm talking to people. And so I'm just trying to take that, applying it to something that is hard for me, and finding the way for me to make it work.
That makes a lot of sense.
This year has been a lot of professional development and personal development. Best thing that happened to me this year was breaking my back, personally. I broke my back, and it forced me to stop. Like a lot of people said, COVID forced them to stop. Anyone that knows NavalX, we didn't stop. We sped up. Mm-hmm. And so breaking my back forced me to be in bed, and I actually stopped and be like, what's going on? I got sick of Netflix in about 3 days and just started diving into some circles of new entrepreneurs and different things and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I was getting messages and photos from this hospital bed, so I don't think you 100% stopped. We had the work updates of, yep, back broken. Yep, still here.
Yeah, until I realized it's probably not a good idea to be communicating at work while I had the prescribed medication.
I thought it was great, honestly. I think that's when I started becoming your friend. But yeah, no, I really think that whole Be Awesome brand and that kind of thing you push for, even though you're going through a lot of stuff personally, sometimes when you're a proponent of, the awesome brand or whatever you're calling it, it's very inspiring. But how do you stay motivated even during COVID when you're on the low? I understand pushing, but you're like every single day positive. It's a lot.
The thing that I learned, so right now I'm actually on day 92 of 100 Days of Awesome. And the thing that I learned before I started doing that, and I'll explain, and what that is it's a video every single day. And even before that, I was doing videos probably 2 or 3 a week and posting often, but the video every single day. And before that started, there was a spot where I missed a whole week of like recording a video. And when I started doing it for work, for NavalX, and then I started just doing it for fun. And then when I missed like a week, I realized how much it affected me actually not doing it. Mm-hmm. So me recording it and being my crazy self is just as rewarding for me as it is for people who have told me that watch it. Because like I actually get a lot out of recording. I do it for me. If nobody watched them ever, I would still be doing it because I actually gain from it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's that forcing function that kind of helps you get out of that negative state. Or I put one video a few months ago. I was laying in a hospital bed with kidney stones. And some people, I got some trolls. They were like, oh, you're just trying to you're in a hospital to get sympathy. I'm like, it's not about that at all. It was just about today sucked, but that doesn't have to be your whole day.
Mm. Yeah, just thinking back to the first, or I don't know if it was the first quick chat or something, but I remember there was something about something in your teeth or whatnot.
That was my first quick chat. That was Ann Fields, who's the Tech Bridge director at Crane, Indiana. So right before COVID hit, we had a Tech Bridge offsite in Virginia, here in Alexandria. And there I was able to, actually I told Whitney, I said, hey, I need all your directors. This new quick chat series is a thing now. I need them. So it was the first time really capturing a lot of our own team. And so I recorded a whole bunch of them. Well, and then the next week or that weekend is when COVID dropped. And so I actually didn't get to editing or looking at those videos for a few weeks and months for some of them. Mm-hmm. I think the one with Ann was like a month and a half later. And I go to edit it, And because if anyone out there thinks that I'm a little self plug, NavalX does not have a massive team doing all this. I have to film myself, edit myself. It's now we're getting some help, but it's so, and I say that not saying, "Oh, look at me," saying you can do it too. Like it does take work, but you don't have to have massive teams creating this stuff. Anyone can get out there, whether it's for personal, for work. Just and if you want help, let me know. But so I was editing, and I started editing, and I was like, wait a minute, why every time I would turn this way, I had this huge piece of food in my tooth, and I spent probably an hour and a half trying to white it out, trying to edit it out, and I was like, it just kept looking funny. And I'm not a Hollywood editor, so I'm sure they could have made it look way better with I was using my free editing software, and so I just couldn't get it. And so I finally said, I'm just going to leave it. And then I called it out in the post. I said, hey, blah, 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 video and Phil's Tech Bridge. In the very bottom last line, oh, and count how many times you can see food in Mohawk Matt's teeth and you get a free coaster. Mm. And I did that because, a lot of when I started doing all these videos and all the stuff that I still do now for NavalX, I got a lot of backhanded compliments of like, hey, it's great what you're doing, but maybe you need a studio. Maybe you need this. Maybe you need better cameras and this, and maybe it needs to be planned out better and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And that actually fueled me because I was like, no, that's not actually what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be different than what you see every day in the Navy, in the Marine Corps, in the government, and online. I don't want the official videos have a purpose and a place. But NavalX is kind of trying to change that culture. And so I was trying to, and still am trying to change the way that we perceive and portray by just turning the phone on and saying, what's up, Admiral? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, speaking of engagement, we should probably say hello to some of these folks. So McCall, good friend of mine. Great to see that you're listening. Nice. I don't know who that is.
Grace again.
Grace, hello again. Getting a lot of love on your series, and Roy's calling for 200 days of awesome. Good
Wait,
luck.
who said that?
Oh, Roy's suggesting counting up and then counting down. I'm not necessarily sure.
Just because 100 days of awesome ends doesn't mean my videos will end. There's just other things in the works.
Could be 100 days of, something else. Recommendations are welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think 100 days of, let's see, fun activities. No, it sounds lame. All right. It's not going to be fun for me.
Whitney, you've known me for a year. I promise I have things already scheduled and planned. Don't worry.
Good. My ideas are horrible. Yeah. Okay. So another question I had for you on the engagement piece and why we're doing things differently and how. Not too long ago, you ran a session for our Agility Summit, and it was about, communicating effectively and engagement versus, typical public affairs stuff. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about, the difference technically first, and then, what inspired you to go this way and why you think this is so important right now?
Yeah. So tell me the first part of the question.
Technically the difference between public affairs type activities and then engagement, the way you engage is the technical one. You can go there first and I'll follow.
Yeah. So this is Matt's version or Mohawk's version. Like I said, I have my glasses on right now, so I don't know. I know I flip personalities.
Side of the coin. Yeah.
But to me, public affairs is more of that. Ensuring the command has the good light, ensuring the organization is putting out the appropriate materials and kind of making sure they're keeping things secure as far as what we're releasing, what we're sharing, that kind of. It's not negative. It's just a different kind of job where, to me, engagement and more the communication side is where of like actively engaging directly with people. And that's what I taught in that class. I think you're pointing to is it's all true engagement. And I see Robert Bork on there. I've been working with him on some stuff with some adaptive acquisition framework things. Mm-hmm. True engagement is actually putting yourself in the trenches with the people. Not a lot of what people do, and I'll speak to the social media side. A lot of what organizations do, not just the government, large organizations, when they don't have social media teams, they just post and ghost or fire and forget. They put it up there and say, hey, check this out, shove it down your throat, but we're not going to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't respond. They don't get back to you. They don't do anything. They rarely tag people. And so to me, true engagement from a social media example is when you post something out there, you're posting it because it's what people want. A lot of the time, I get most of my topics and data from people, from going on calls, listening to briefs, going to Ask Me Anything with Secretary Gertz, doing LinkedIn research. Like I rarely come up with my own things. I'm coming up with them based on what I'm seeing and what people want to hear from. I do lots of polls and seeing what people are doing, what their vibe is. And to me, that's engagement. You're actually doing things because it's the user, it's what they want, it's what the people want. And that's where I came on when I came on to NavalX, is doing all this marketing type stuff. I always saw it as marketing and not public affairs, because that's what we were really trying to do, is let people know that NavalX exists. I don't have anything. At the time, I didn't have anything I had to public release because we're not doing technical things that way. And so I focused more on the marketing side, and I took user-centered design and human-centered design, which I had done for years, and applied that to the marketing. In this Marine's opinion, that's why it went so well, is because in the circles of the government at the time, that wasn't being done a lot. And if it was, very rare and far few between. It's a lot more now. And I say NavalX, but it's usually me doing it. Has wars going on with like AFWorks, DoD Platform One, Kessel Run. We get into little tips, and all for fun. It's because it encourages engagement.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of like call each other out and say who's going to do what, and that's how we're feeding off of each other and bringing each other's communities together.
That's awesome. Someone is asking, again, I can't read who it is. Could be Grace again, for all I know. But
Stephen D. So I can see on my phone.
Okay.
I don't know who Steve is. What's up, Steve?
Hello. What does NavalX do?
I don't know.
I'm the interviewer, not interviewee. You have to answer all the questions.
NavalX is super connector for the Navy and the Marine Corps, along with our friends across the DoD. But we focus on Navy and the Marine Corps. But we are tasked and every day connecting people internally through civilians, military, service members, also externally through creating those ecosystems and relationships with academia, industry, government partnerships. And I say connecting. We're not inventing. The thing that we are innovating, so we are an agility innovation cell, we often get referred to, but we're not innovating technology. We are innovating culture. We are innovating the way people think and do things. And we're not innovating, we're applying. We're more applying techniques and practices from the civil sector, from private industry, things we're learning from other folks. And I like to call it actually activating. I see it as we connect and we activate. And then we, what's the R you use for tech bridges all the time at the end? Reinforce.
Oh, yeah.
So I say we connect. So that's, hey, know each other exists, because in an organization that's more than 100 people, you may not know who exists. In an organization as large as the Navy and the Marine Corps, it's impossible to know everyone. And it's impossible for us to connect you to everyone. We're trying to break those barriers. Hey, what are you working on? Oh, hey, so is this team. Let's work it together, or share the funding or whatever. Or, hey, this company actually we know about just did that. Let's save us some time and bring them in and partner that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the connect piece. And then the activate that I go by is, I don't like the word motivate. To me, motivate, rah, rah, give energy. Yeah. And that's important too. But I like activate, because we are giving people the tools, the Centers for Adaptive Warfighting, the CAW. They're teaching people how to do these things. They don't just do them for them one time and run away. They're actually giving them the tools. The tech bridges are giving people the tools to connect and to do these other things with industry or with themselves. So that's why I see it more as activating, not just motivating.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the reinforce. You need help, you need top cover, we can help with that. We have lots of friends all across the DoD, so we'll just check in on you, see how things are going, creating enforcing those, not enforcing, empowering those communities of practice. So again, Stephen D, you can also check out our website, but that's kind of what and I didn't go into like the actual efforts we're working on, but that's kind of as a whole what NavalX does.
Yeah, I totally lied. I would completely agree. And then if you walked away only knowing two things about NavalX, I think NavalX is a platform for people to connect and share best practices and build up the network and build up, trust in this ecosystem. And then, using that as a launch pad, being a guide and accelerating problem solving. Whether that's by understanding using our network to understand where all the programs are, where the problem owners are and the requirement holders are, and where the technologists that we need are, whether it's at a warfare center or whether it's in industry, academia, or otherwise. So those two pieces, but basically Matt already said that. I just like talking about NavalX too. So from Roy, a good suggestion on your next 100 days, 100 food choices and hidden gems in Alexandria.
Well, some of them are a little closed right now, so.
All right, fine. Well, why they're hidden.
But thanks, Roy. It's a good suggestion.
Very hidden. And then Roy's helping us out, talking about what NavalX is. I will say the agility@navy.mil email address, we are trying to wash it out soon. So we're in a transitional period, slightly awkward, but we are going to be moving things over to a portal for people to put information in directly and then for us to engage with them so that it's not just one email address with a bunch of people. And we've been having trouble getting it to the right people. So if you have tried to reach out to us before and we didn't get to you, find us on LinkedIn. Our email addresses are easy to figure out. It's usually our first name dot last name @navy.mil.
Usually.
And if it's not, you'll hit one of us. Sorry for that.
You're doing your job. You've been a great moderator.
Great. Well, don't worry. This won't happen again. Question about, where you started with this process, because you didn't really know if this was going to work. You didn't know if engaging people was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Why did you decide that this is, going well? Why do you go live?
So what'd you say the last part?
Why are you going live right now? Why is this working?
So I knew it was going to work because everyone is doing it everywhere else outside the government. Yeah. So I was never feared that it wasn't going to work. I was feared I was going to be told no. And so I would fear that it would not work that way because I would get shut down or it wasn't appropriate or professional, but it was just the opposite. And as I started to do the quick chats, which then became the podcast, but in the beginning, my goal was to, and still is, just to find people doing great things and share what they're doing and who they are. Quick snippets, here you go. And actually it was easier because of the circles that we are around at NavalX to get a lot of leadership. My goal was never to have as much high leadership staff as we do on the videos, but because they were at NavalX all the time, I would always see them and grab them and get them on video. And what we started to feel and hear back from people, for me, it's not about likes, reactions, comments. It's about the private messages people send. Hey, my favorite one is from a sailor out in California. It was early on. He video messaged me and said, "Thank you for what you guys are doing. I have to deal with senior leaders often, and it really scares me. And one of the senior leaders I have to talk to, you've had on your videos, and it's calmed me down. It's allowed me to see that they're approachable." And so I've kind of become this vulnerability factor that's kind of disarmed a lot of these senior leaders, which isn't as comfortable in the Navy and the Marine Corps and the government sectors. But it just kept going. And once I started, so there was a changing point. There was the point for me, video number 3. And it was with, I just lost her name, San Diego, Compile the Combat.
Yeah, working with small. I can't remember.
Yeah. So she was in the garden, and so I had her on a quick video, put that out there, and we got tons of comments saying, "Oh, that's what we need. How do we call that team? How do we find that?" And that's when I knew, okay, this is going to be a thing.
Hmm.
And that's where it started with the quick chats becoming more, and then the live stuff. And then even there, the real turning point where I got buy-in from what felt like to me from the Navy and the military side was when I interviewed Admiral Fogo,
Hmm.
who was a 4-star out in UCOM, now retired. And once I had him on, it was like, oh, this guy's that gave me credit. That gave us credibility. It's not just some random thing crazy dude with crazy hair. And so I started having people, little it is, and started having people reach out to us. And that's when the momentum really got going. And COVID hit too. And so being home, not traveling all the time, I was one of those people that thought we have to travel. And I still think we do to a degree, but I was able to record a lot more, not having to worry about traveling from base to base. And then the live thing, I have this weird thing. I get itchy when we don't go live every few days. And it goes back to engagement, because that's what I feel we've done very differently than most organizations.
Yeah.
It's constantly, I want to know what people want, what they're doing. Are they liking us? Are they hating us? Are we giving them what they want? I don't want NavalX to just put out stuff because we want to. Actually, we used to argue about this in the early stages a year ago. Not negative argue, but just of, hey, we got to put this out. And I always, whenever someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to put this out, and I always say, well, why? Why does that matter? And I know that can sound a little crass, but I kind of do it for a reason, because if you don't know, then I'm not going to put it out just because. Like, it's not about just us. And that's how I've always seen NavalX. Yeah, it's important to share what we're doing, but I've always seen it as the vehicle to connect others to each other.
Yeah.
And there's most of the time been 1 to 2 of us that are really focusing on this day to day, meaning the putting things out communication wise. And so we couldn't take on all these other things. So we just started the live stuff. I just started going live on Facebook and YouTube. And it was okay. It really hit for us was LinkedIn, because that's always been our strongest market and most of our connections are there. And so when I got LinkedIn live for NavalX, where we're on now, I started going live like every week, and have gone live almost every week since, at least once a week. There was one day when we did the London Tech Bridge and the Hawaii Tech Bridge, I was live 4 or 5 times in one day, and I was beat that day.
Yep.
But it all comes back to engagement. I do it so much, and I'm working on some ways to do it internally for our internal workforce. It's a little difficult with some of the IT infrastructure, but I'm finding some ways, because I believe that we should, if our mission is to connect everyone, then we should be listening to everyone. And I don't do this to sit and talk. I do this to gain information. Like, I'm actually learning from the comments right now. And that's how I gain a lot of the information that we end up turning into things. Chats and stuff like that have all come from things we've seen online, comments, emails we've gotten. It's all engaging and pulling that information out.
Yeah, speaking of, I was trying to look up someone's name, assuming I could see it on my phone, but not here. So I apologize for that noise for a second. It was us. It was a little weird. But yeah, we got some love from Nino. So hello, Nino. Great to see you. Good to see you again. And then you're getting a lot of love from someone I cannot read right now.
It's Grace. I have my phone open right here.
Thank you. But yeah, she's showing love for the interview of Fogo. So lovely. I remember that. He was very nice, just as a human too. He was talking to me about Carlos.
He's a good guy.
Yep. So I did have a quick question. You were talking a little bit about marketing of NavalX and how it's more of a marketing thing before, but I kind of wanted to pull the thread on that, because I know that's not really what you're focused on. It's more so marketing the people inside of organizations across the Department of the Navy. So
correct. I've never been focused on marketing NavalX.
No.
I'm focused on marketing each other and connecting each other, and that wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
The video, the name Mohawk Matt is what kickstarted everything. I was like, wait a minute, hang on. I never planned to be in anything. We didn't even plan to do videos, podcasting, none of that. No. I didn't know what we were doing yet. And so we saw that and we just kind of ran with it. And actually Steve Frail, who was our former OPSO, he just said, try it, get what you need and explore. And so I just started exploring and trying and doing things. So I had a lot of top cover, but it was always marketing each other. I think that's where, and we've heard Secretary Gertz talk to it, that's why he created NavalX, is to help connect, be that connective tissue, not be the ones where there are great things we are doing, but we are doing those to connect other people, to empower other people. We're not trying to invent the new technology or be the innovation center of excellence. We're trying to connect the centers of excellence to each other. So yes, the marketing is up for me mentally. It's always been about marketing the people. And that's why I always ask personal questions too, because I think everything we do is about work, but work, especially these days, can get exhausting. And tying that personal connection, those people, bringing those people in, like Roy, who's commenting a lot today. I've had him on a podcast and I asked him quite a bit about his life and how he got to where he is, because it ties, we're human. We want to connect to each other.
Yeah, and I know you learned a little bit from Lindy, your wife, as well.
Social media, I've learned everything from Lindy.
Yeah.
No, my wife is a social media strategist, specifically for home builders. So no, when I didn't start doing the social media, I knew how to like physically do the act of posting. But I didn't know anything about it. So, and I can't hire her because she would work for me, and it doesn't work in the government. And so, and I don't know if that would work anyway. We might be in each other's jobs, who knows? But she always says that I'm her best client because whatever she told me, I just did it. And that's what works. Okay, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's do it. So without that, I would have been in a lot different state as well.
Sounds like the right recipe for a good marriage too, do whatever he says. I'm mostly joking there. Comment from Nicholas Armendaris, if I'm saying that right. Am I supposed to read it? It's right there.
You can read it if you want.
All right. No, it's right there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. No, I completely agree though. I think the connecting and the fact that what you do is so authentic is really what emboldens people to kind of do this.
That's what Robert said on a comment above, is the genuine side of it, and that's really what it's been about. I will say too, it's a lot been about. Nope, I just lost my thought completely.
Well, I'm gonna guess Grace is saying connecting and relationships are everything in life.
Yep.
Yeah, and I honestly think today, like in this like last few weeks, and maybe this upcoming week, and some stuff, that relationship and that trust really, really is important. What are you excited about, Matt, for this upcoming year?
So the podcast, we're 20 episodes in. That's been taken, and podcasting is a long game, because you're always going to have different people and different things. And so I'm not worried about who's watching it, listening to it now. So the podcast I'm really excited about because we just started getting some more momentum, meaning we've had some great folks on, but now I'm getting some help and getting some time to record more. And some people are like, oh, I'll just record like 6 podcasts a year. And same with the quick chats. So for 2020, the quick chats with Mohawk Matt, which is the vehicle that we've used to connect people to the workforce and different folks, we did 188 videos in a year. So if anyone thinks I'm going to do 6 podcasts a year, you don't know me very well. Because to me, it's not about, I think there's a certain level of quality of conversation, but it's not about just like you have to make it perfect. To me, it's about quantity, because it's quantity over quality when it comes to the content we're releasing, because quality is subjective. Quality is based on if you care about that topic. Quality is based on if you know lighting and video and things like that. And so I'm not talking technical quality, but even quality of conversation is really subjective to if you actually care about that topic. Because if you don't, you're going to say it sucks. And if it means nothing to you, it's not an important topic to you personally. Yeah. And so I'm trying to get a lot more episodes, or I am getting more episodes recorded. Excited about that. We're doing more things live. So with the live stuff, we just started experimenting. And and we're doing more. I've been doing some with the tech bridges, getting more people on, and we're doing some things internally as well. So people here, unless you're military or cat card folks, it won't matter. But we will share when we start doing it a version of like live chats like this of me interviewing folks, but internally. So we can have those so people can just start joining those.
I'm sorry, what? Of you interviewing folks? I'm pretty sure I'm interviewing people right now.
I said you.
Sure.
This is actually, I'm out. This is my last day.
Well, speaking of, actually, have you told people your good news publicly yet?
No, not publicly. How are you going to ask me that question?
So most people at NavalX have, their time there is about a 1-year rotation, and they're paid for by their commands to come and learn, almost like a fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
At NavalX and working on the team. And very few people get extended, what happened in your case as the year was wrapping up?
Well, I got extended. So I got extended last year.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I would have gone back in October of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel there should also be like a COVID extension too. I'm like, come on, guys. But I got extended. And then I think what you're leading to and hinting to is, I believe, at least how people have announced it, I'm the first permanent person at NavalX. And what that means is my command found, and I think it's actually a pretty big deal for the Navy, not being me, but the fact that commands are doing this now for what I do. So my command thinks it's so valuable for what I do as a relationship builder, super connector. I'll always say bureaucracy hacker because I love that term. But kind of that connecting relationship side that you don't always get support for, even outside. In the private companies, you get like relationship managers for a client and client management, but we haven't focused on that traditionally in the government, or at least put time to it from my perspective. Maybe some have. And so for my command, China Weapons Division out in California, they are funding me to stay here forever in a different way. And in their terms, they said, wherever NavalX is, or whether you're there physically, remotely, we're going to put you on a permanent telework agreement that is to keep doing what you're doing. But when my rotation is up here in a few months, I'm going to probably 20% of my time focus more on them as well. So they want to be connected to the big things that are going on. They want to be plugged in the Tech Bridge network. They want to be plugged into the other SBIR offices and how they're using NICE funding and things like that. And so it's not just me stay at NavalX and keep doing just here. It's actually me staying at NavalX and pulling them in more to things. And so I'm still working for them, but in my NavalX role. So things like the quick chats, the podcast, I'll still be involved in until I start bringing other people in. The goal for me is I'll burn myself out, and I have some days.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be the only face and name of NavalX. We have other teammates that can be. If you want to be, whoever you are, maybe not Whitney, she's crazy. Yeah. No, she's awesome. But there's like anyone that's watching, if you are government, I am looking for people to help be a super connector and help me with some podcasts and things like that. So yeah, long story, short story, I will be here in this universe for a while. I won't be in all the same roles I'm in now. I recently gave up one of them as a team lead we have and passed it on to a teammate, Isabel. Some others I'll probably shift and drop so I can focus on some home command stuff as well. But can't get rid of me that easy.
It's so exciting. It's also just a great sign for right now, the level of commitment from folks to think about being a part of something larger than themselves. It doesn't happen all the time in any industry. So it's always good to see.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And that's why I say I think it's a big thing for the Navy is, yeah, I'm grateful. My wife's grateful. We like it out here on the East Coast. But separate from the personal side, it's like you just said, Whitney, it's showing people are so committed. Like they are so committed, they're going to fund me or a body, if it's not me forever,
Mhm.
a body to be in this NavalX network. And that's what not only they believe in the value of connecting and building out to the networks, but also what they see and believe in NavalX. So
Hmm.
they're committing to keep sending people to NavalX to keep that mission going.
That's awesome. And I'm seeing some congratulations, I'm guessing from Grace.
Yep.
Nice.
Grace is awesome. Grace Lee. She's actually, like, I don't know if forcing is the right word, but I am interviewing on my personal pages Lindy later in the week. She keeps like, when are you interviewing Mrs. Mohawk? Come on.
To be fair, you might not want to see Mohawk Matt after you talk to Lindy. She's so funny.
She's much cooler.
That's what I was saying, but no, I'm just kidding. They're both great. They're actually really fun together for sure. They're a great duo.
Yeah,
Also, how long are these supposed to last? I'm like, should I wrap this up?
you can if you want to. I
I
mean,
don't know.
we have 9 people watching right now, so your call.
Yeah, let's do this again sometime.
One thing I will add is I've gotten a lot of feedback I've gotten feedback from people. Well, you're just in the military world and government world. It can be really hard to, like, put the light on you and be that voice and be that one that speaks up. I don't do it to put the light on me, other than my sweet hair, obviously. I do it because I accepted that someone needed to do it and be that mic. I see myself as a microphone more than I see myself as a voice. I see myself as a microphone for the workforce, for the people. That's why I do some video. I had someone say, a few people last year say, "Oh, you've done like 50 videos. You're probably good now. Are you going to stop?" I was like, "No. Like, you know how many people are in the government? There's hundreds of thousands. I could do 700,000 videos and then keep going." And so it's, for me, I've always seen it as more as being the microphone and being the facilitator of the conversation and the connector than me being the voice. But I have learned, and I had to accept, I didn't like it in the beginning. I was like, I don't want to be on video. I didn't want to do this. And my wife, Lindy, said, turn your phone on and do the dishes. Turn your phone on and do the laundry. And she was just trying to get me to do chores. But I just started talking to myself on the phone. And that's how I got used to it. And so I didn't like it at first, but I had to just learn, and people helped coach me to accept that tying this Mohawk Matt is a character and a tool that we have for NavalX. Because most of the time, I was at an event earlier this week or last week, and with a lot of senior folks in the government or in the Navy, and every single one of them, 2 stars and 3 stars, knew who I was. I don't take that as a personal success on me. I take that as NavalX win, because they all referenced videos, they referenced podcasts, they referenced things, and people connect to people. A lot of, in the older days, not older days, years ago, 10, 15 years ago, when news was like the only thing before social media, I remember my parents loyally growing up were loyal to a newscaster. They were loyal to a specific channel because of the people. And so I've really gone full head in because it pulls people in. Me being crazy with my attitude, my awesome, and my haircut, if that's what pulls people in and then they hear about NavalX, great. We'll just keep doing it. And I know I say that with every time I talk about myself, Whitney gets more for her roast she's going to do for me one day. The Mohawk Matt roast, she's going to lay it on me, especially when it comes. You're taking notes.
There's so many good ones. We do have a good question. Yeah, I guess you could read it yourself since you're already
You have to read it to me. I'm the interviewee.
Well, you're already preparing. How did you even know I was going there? You're too good.
So, because this is only on LinkedIn, people on Facebook and YouTube may not see it, so read it out.
Okay, got you. All right. As your command has seen the benefit in funding you to do the good work at NavalX, in your opinion, should more commands, or more specifically areas, send people to rotate through NavalX that aren't currently?
That's a great question, Nick. And I know Nicholas and I have been going back on a couple things recently. Yes. Do I think every command should and every person should? No, because NavalX is a lot of work. We are a small team. When I say small, the people who are like official NavalX rotationals, there's like 10. And then you expand that to all the tech bridge directors and the CAW directors, there's still only like 35. And so we don't have, for the amount of work we're doing that you can see in our year in review coming out soon, we are a small team. So yes, I think more commands should, but I don't think it's just about more people. I personally think it's about more depth or width versus depth. Like we get people from right now, we have folks on rotation from a lot of syscoms, NavAir, NavC, NavFac, NavWar. We got someone Marina from DAU. We've got folks from ONR. We got a couple military folks that just came on board and more coming on board. And folks all across, but that's only 7 commands. There's 50 commands that we could tap into. So because NavalX, to be successful in Matt's opinion, is about connecting to everyone out there. So the more we have representatives from other commands, the more we can tie into them. That's the beauty of who NavalX is. We're not just a bunch of consultants that are like, here, fix the Navy. No, we're people who have been doing this from the workforce level. I've had the same challenges people have. I know what it's like for public affairs officers trying to go live. Getting that approved for a lot of the time is actually really hard. Yeah. And so I know those challenges, and other people on our team doing other things know those challenges people are facing. And so I think it's about width versus depth, but I do think there is room for more. Yeah. NavalX doesn't have a cap of like, you can only have this many, mostly because we're broke. We actually ask you guys for help and your commands to help us out. I don't mean we're broke in a bad way, but we're not funded to just hire 50 people. And I'm going to quote Secretary Gertz when he was talking to Steve Blank a few months ago about this. If he gave NavalX money to hire 30 people, NavalX would have hired 30 people that are alike. He didn't, and said, go figure it out. Partner with other commands, do some collaboration. And now our team is so extremely diverse. We're all extremely passionate, but we come from different backgrounds. And that's what I think we're searching for. And I will plug Nicholas. We are about to start a new big campaign for recruiting. Our recruiting never ends. Like we don't have exact dates you can start and stop. But we do have kind of cycles that we announce it more. So stay tuned, Nicholas, if you're interested yourself or you know others that are, because I do know you're military. So we can stay plugged into that.
Yeah, I'll just add, we have a lot of spots that need filling. There's a lot of work that needs doing, but also we don't mind working with people where they are. And whatever you're working on, there's probably a way that it connects into someone else. So you can also just use this as a resource to connect to other folks to get in the ecosystem. You don't necessarily have to do a full-time rotation just to be connected. There are even some people doing part-time rotations right now, which is pretty cool.
And the rotations, when I came on a year ago or a year and a half ago now, were in person. You had to be, because that's kind of how we all thought back then. But now we have remote rotations. And so there's not only is it you don't have to be a full rotation, but there's also options because we're embracing the telework and things like that.
Yeah.
So he'll be tuned in. Fantastic.
Awesome. And definitely there is a request for a heads up when you go live with Lindy.
Oh, Grace, I know. I'll tell you, Grace. She's been asking me for it for days. I will announce that one before I go live.
Awesome. Like how many days? Like an hour before? Like a day?
No, like a couple days before.
Okay. Making sure Grace knows.
Yeah, I'll message you, Grace, too. She's the one that asked for it, so I'll make sure she knows.
That's awesome. That's great.
Great job. I want to give an applause to Whitney for her first hosting abilities. It's fantastic. How was it?
I don't know how you do this. I don't mind talking to you. I don't mind looking at people's comments, but wow. It's not easy. Even if it's easy, it's not easy. You make it great.
there's a lot of work. I do appreciate. You have no idea how. Maybe I should make our entire team interview someone,
Yeah.
or we should all just take turns doing each other's jobs because I think we'd appreciate them more. And I know we all do a lot of work and a lot of busy things and important things, but I've spent a lot of time not only interviewing, but I've been in the communications interviewing space for over 16 years.
Mm.
And even as a Marine PAO, I wrote stories. So I had to interview. The first person I ever interviewed in my entire life was a commandant of the Marine Corps. I was at schoolhouse and they came to the Pentagon for a few days and I was shadowing someone and the commandant said, brand new Marine, PFC Denny, you got any questions for me? I was like, oh, shoot. And so, but ever since I did that, I'm like, that's the top person in the Marine Corps. I can interview anybody.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's fair. Well, but it is a lot of work. And I see you like prepping for podcasts and like getting all of these like documents out and looking through what people have said before whenever you're going to interview someone. And, you know, it does come off as effortless. So,
well I think a lot of that speaks to the style too. Like anyone that follows NavalX or me, I'm very conversational, kind of, it seems off the fly because that's how I think it connects people and tells the story that way. Mm-hmm. They're like some people, podcast hosts told me they record for like 3 hours and then they cut that into half an hour. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot of work. So when I recorded with you, Whitney, and we just started. We stopped. I think we cut out one piece because I said something I wasn't supposed to, or you did, and we removed that 9-second slip, and it was easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't perfect. Like it wasn't like it was polished, but it got the message out.
People are human. People want to connect to information. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful product in the world. And as Whitney knows this from our lovely backs and forths occasionally, it's Matt's opinion, it's more important getting our information out there. Being known is more important than being perfect, having the perfect product, having the perfectly polished thing. Mm. Like, let's just get things out there. Just start sharing. Like the first lives we did for like the first few weeks were just me and Steve.
Yeah.
Just talking. And we answered a lot of questions because we hadn't been live before. So we had a lot at the time. Mm-hmm. But now people know, and we've created that expectation. Hey, we'll go live, answer your questions. Internally, we're doing Ask Me Anything with Tech Bridges soon. We are going to do something similar in the next few months publicly for all you guys, so you guys can get some of the Tech Bridges directors right on here live. And I don't know if we've talked about that, but here's me telling you, Whitney. So different than the other one we're doing, but just a chance for people to just know more of what we do and why they should connect to us and to your team.
That makes sense. I don't know who this one is above me now. Can you see it?
Oh, that's Grace Lee still.
Oh goodness, I'm so sorry, Grace. I should just assume everyone is Grace.
For some reason, Grace's account doesn't show up on this tool.
I know, but there's some other ones too, so I don't want to get it wrong. All right. Don't forget John.
But yeah, she knows. Grace keeps me in line. I'm working on some stuff with John Hawley.
Okay.
And things like that. So
John, I was like, oh, you know,
we have lots of Johns.
Brandon.
Yep.
No, that's awesome. Maybe another question. Why do you have so many things on your to-do list that are not moved over? Isn't it the weekend when you get the most work done? I just don't.
So normal. Yeah. Weirdly enough, well, and I spoke to it earlier. I've accepted, and NavalX has been gracious in this. There are times that like right now, when I texted Whitney, or we talked about this before, I knew that people would be online because it's Sunday night and your people are on their phones. And so I'm not always up first thing in the morning because I'm up at night. I'm up doing things. And I have so many on the to-do because most of these I just put in the last couple of days. So as we've been transitioning, or as I empowered my teammate to take over the lead that I was in, with that means that before I could show up to a meeting as the lead of that group and just rattle everything off because I was also the one doing it all. As we're building our team to a larger team. But now that she's representing the team, I have to actually have things in a place that I can give them to her So it's forcing me to be more organized because I can't just rattle them off.
Mm.
I know it in my head, which takes time, but it is a good thing overall as a team.
Yeah, haven't you noticed that working with other people effectively means you have to just do better?
You
At
have to be more,
like,
you have to be a little bit more organized. And
oof, that's unfortunate. I'm just kidding. I'm working on the same thing, and it's so hard to even
so
just like put your thoughts in something that makes sense.
I'm going to turn the tables before we go with one last question for Whitney, since this is normally what I do. So we've talked a lot about me, which I actually don't do often. So I appreciate coming up with that, Whitney. Two, have you enjoyed your experience at NavalX, and why do you keep doing it?
Ooh, great question. No,
It's kind of my job.
of course I enjoy it. Yeah. So I kind of stumbled into it, and I wasn't sure if I was like, yeah, what the role would be. And we kind of created our own roles. So it's not normal in government to create your own role for
We've
just
all kind of done that. Yeah.
organization, especially at a high level, where you have the assistant secretary of the Navy, supporting you, and you have other folks kind of in the room all the time, and they actually care what you want to say, and your ideas matter. So I think I was very excited by that. So I think the level of support and the ability to advocate for others is really what gets me excited. So yeah, I enjoy that. And then it also just gives me a lot of hope with again, other situations, like going around in the world at times, you're like, you know what, at least I'm chipping away at something that matters, even if it's just, connecting a few people who were having the same problem, together, and maybe giving them some suggestions of other people to talk to. Like last week, bringing in some folks from the Marine Corps, naval junior officers, and some people working in shipyards to complain, not complain, but to talk about some of their challenges,
Yeah.
with others, and being able to be a part of that and bring folks together and possibly develop solutions, but also just show that we care. I don't know. That's something that's, powerful.
Yeah, no, and I want to pull that just a little bit because I think I got to give credit. I have to empower and give credit to the entire NavalX team. I get a lot of the FaceTime. One, because in the beginning, no one wanted to. So they're like, oh, no, I'm okay. And even Whitney, I've been pulling that out of Whitney.
Oh, I hate it.
But we all do connecting. We all just do it differently. Our teams are doing it different ways. So, and I think that's what's so awesome. Everything you do isn't that far off from what I do. Isn't that far off from what Sandra or Chris does or someone else. We're just doing it differently, and then we connect internally and then pass off to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the sign of a good leadership too. And it basically, if you're all kind of going at the same goals from different angles, that means we are using diversity of thought and, different ways, different methods for problem solving to get at a problem that's too big for any one of us alone. So especially when you're trying to represent all of the challenges in the Department of Navy and across the board. I mean, it's good that we're going at it in different ways because, at any given day, someone's having successes and another person's struggling. So it's one of those things where also hey, and this happens to me and you all the time. Hey, this day's very challenging. This day sucked. I feel like I just got beaten to a pulp and failed. How are you? It's well, conversation, and it's all right, let's talk through it. It's just nice.
Most of Whitney's and my conversations are actually now because we've been going all day and we've been going, and so this is the only time we can sync up with each other, supporting each other, either sharing things back and forth. And so I think we have a great team. They're all doing lots of great connecting things. And this was more you interviewing me, but as a teammate, I appreciate you, all the work you do as well.
I'm very glad that you started this mission element or whatever channel thing. I'm so bad with lingo for these things, but
you're just glad I worry about it and not you.
Yes,
that's exactly it right there.
It's good. It's great. I love that you do it. You do it so well. It's really amazing.
We'll get you. We'll get Whitney doing some of her own stuff. We'll see what happens.
No, but appreciate you for all that you do, and hope you continue doing this like all year. Honestly, I'm actually hoping that we see more folks across the Department of Navy start things like this and start
So,
rivalries if we want, you know.
yeah, there's been a few. Like I've helped Rick Tarr out of PAX, them
yeah.
do live accounts, and so they're starting to do more. Folks up in NavC, someone started what's called 3 questions, her adaptation of quick chats.
Yeah.
I know a team out in California that's doing something similar. That's for me. That's the energy is coming from. Is I will take all the heat and I will take all the fight of getting things approved and trying new things. I will gladly be the one that's bleeding on the front line, so that's easier for other people. Because I think everyone at NavalX is that way, and that's what we would try. And that's what a lot of things I try. It's not like I want to do them, but I want other people to have access to them. Like I want everyone to have access to a live tool or something for them to connect to whoever they want to. So,
yeah.
This is the part where you end the conversation as the host.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was just debating. I mean, because there's another comment, but my name is in it, so I wasn't going to read it.
Oh, very refreshing to have that kind of support, Whitney Tallarico. People want to be heard to know that their opinions and perspectives matter.
I agree.
That's my point. 1, yes, Grace. 2, Whitney, you saying like I don't want to read that. That's how it was in the beginning. Like I didn't want to be on the, like it was weird. And now it's like, what's up? You want me to sign a postcard for you? Now I'm like, I'll give you a stamp. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's take a selfie.
Yeah. Well, I hope that continues. I have some stamped documents sometimes hidden around my house. I'll go and like find one and I'm like, a little sign of, be awesome today. So I'm glad you have all the swag. It keeps me on my toes and surprises me all the time.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for having me on tonight.
Yeah. I'm so happy I could set this up.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.